We had different camps.
So we can sing.
Oh, it's a
always
choir.
trying. I'm
You're
trying.
wonderful. Oh,
So
that's great. Absolutely. Let me grab my drum.
Yeah.
Though you are always welcome to play.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Temple B'nai Israel. It's great to see everyone, especially after a couple of weeks away. It's fantastic to also be back together. It's really a fantastic time for us to reflect, to relax a little bit, and to enjoy. I think it's going to be a very spiritual service, as tonight we honor the memory of Debbie Friedman, a very famous Jewish singer-songwriter. So many of the selections we're going to use today, the settings for the prayers, are going to be from Debbie Friedman's work. And so it's going to be, I think, really exciting to hear. Some of them might be familiar, some of them may be a little less so, so we'll maybe have to sort of do a couple of them a couple times to teach a little bit some of these different melodies. But it should be really lovely. So let's all turn and face each other and say Shabbat Shalom. Say Shabbat Shalom to your neighbors in front of you,
Shabbat
behind you.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And let's begin.
Wonderful. So first of all, can I just say how personally happy I am to have you back.
I heard good things.
Thank you. It is a relief to have the rabbi back, and I know I speak for everyone. The other thing I wanted to say is Debbie Friedman originally wrote songs, and she used words, some of the words we don't use anymore, that we've replaced. But I learned it, sometimes saying Shekhinah and talking about the female side of God, sometimes saying Him and Lord. And for me personally, I think it's important for us to move forward, but I also think it's important to remember where we came from, and that Debbie was able to find this spirituality even using words that she may or may not have connected to. Does that make sense? Good. So sometimes we're going to be singing about the female side of God, sometimes the male side of God, and sometimes the side of God that is so much more than that. So we're going to start with, I'm going to sing something a cappella, which has to do with Shekhinah. It's very short. And then we're going to sing, I think, the one that she burst in. Shekhinah. May we be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah, blessed with peace to God, bless His name. Oh, sing unto the Lord a song of prayer, sing praises to the Lord, sing unto God, praises to the Sing a new song unto God. Sing a new song unto God.
We're now going to call forward Melissa and Tyler Brom for the lighting of candles.
And while they come up,
Yes.
we're going to sing another Debbie Friedman song. To you, love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. Let us light these lights and see the way to you. And let us say these lights and see the way to you. And let us say,
We're on page 120.
So may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel.
Inu melech ha'olam, asher kitshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu hadlikner shal shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Bore Pri Hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר לציית מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל עמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן.
Chaim. We can take our seats and let's turn to page 127. We'll continue responsively by paragraph. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, the day of rest, day of wonder, and the day of peace. Let's turn now in our prayer books to page 138 and 139 for the singing of Lecha Dodi, this mystical piyut, this mystical poem. We will be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And the final verse will rise together to face the door to greet the Sabbath bride.
This is also a Debbie Friedman tune, and I promise we'll do the Lecha Dodi part so many times you will know it by the end. How's that? Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, L'Hashem u'tiferet v'litila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, Ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nisucha, sof maaseh b'machshava techila, lecha dadi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitorari, hiva orech kumi uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai alahigna, lecha dadi, likrat kala, lecheina bat shakabela. We stand up, we'll say this a little slower. Boi b'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha uv'tzola, toch emunai am segula, boi chala, lecha dadi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We'll remain standing as we turn to page 145. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, unripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Together, teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine sets my ways. On the next page, the Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Baruch Hu et Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai, Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu.
On page 149, let's continue together at the top of the page. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. On page 151, in the middle of the page, we'll continue responsively. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol.
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives.
What could be a truer token of your abiding love
Then this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. On the next page.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malechuto Leolam Leolam Vaed. You can have a seat. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be in thy heart, shall be in thy heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou risest up, and when thou liest down, and when thou liest down, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gates, and upon thy gates, that ye shall remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your
on page 157. At the top of the page, we'll continue responsively. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. On the next page, Mi Chamocha.
Yai lai lai, yai la 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 lai, yai lai lai la lai, la 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 lai lai, ya lai la lai lai, yai lai la la lai, yai la lai la lai, la lai lai. Mi chamocha ba elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'eta b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, שאלי ענו ואמרו, שאלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Yai lai lai, yai la 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 lai, yai lai lai ya lai, ya la la lai lai, ya lai la lai lai, yai lai la la lai, yai la lai la lai, la lai lai. Oh, I'm sorry. This is me.
Still you, yeah.
Still me with some phlegm in my throat. We are going to sing the Angel's Blessing, which I think many of you may know. Instead of singing the Hashkivenu, it's on a similar theme. May our right hand bring us closer to our godliness. May our left hand give us strength to face each day. And before us may our visions light our path ahead. And behind us may well-being heal our way. All around us is Shekhinah. All around us is Shekhinah. All around us is Shekhinah. All around us is Shekhinah.
On page 162, we continue with a song of rejoicing in the gift of Shabbat, Vishamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisroel et ha-Shabbat le'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם, ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש.
On page 165.
Sorry.
In an envelope marked personal, God addressed me a letter. In an envelope marked personal, I have given my answer. Let's rise together for the Amidah HaTefilah, beginning on page 164 and continuing through page 170.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare thy praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'nehem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen, Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah, Rav le'Hoshia, Mashiv haruach, Umorid hagashem. Michalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech nofalim ve'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayim emunato, Lishanei afar, Michamocha be'al givurot, Umidom elach, Melech meimit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiya Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'achayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayehi hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukdoshim b'chol yom, Yahalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We are on page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. On page 175. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha be'ira na'avod. on page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words. Together, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot.
We are going to be singing Not by Might, Not by Power, which I actually think is in here on page. Let's take a quick look for the words. 669. Not by might and not by power, but by Spirit alone shall we all live in peace. Not by might and not by power, but by Spirit alone, Ruach, shall we all live in peace. The children sing, the children dream, and their tears may fall, but we'll hear them call, and another song will rise, another song will rise, another song will rise. Not by might and not by power, but by Spirit alone, Ruach, shall we all live in peace. Not by might, not by power, shalom.
We're going to turn now to page 371. As our thoughts turn to those in our community who are in need of healing, whether they are in need of physical, mental, or spiritual healing, we take them into our hearts this time of prayer. This, of course, is one of Debbie Friedman's most known melodies, the Mi Sheberach prayer. One that, and I think we all probably know this, obviously in Reformed synagogues, her music is everywhere. But I'm not sure if everyone knows that even in Orthodox circles, they actually use some of her melodies. That's how sort of impactful her music has become with this prayer, her Havdalah, amongst others, being able to cross denominations and to inspire, especially modern Orthodox women's groups of prayer. So I think it's really fascinating. When we think about this song, we think, well, this is the one that actually is canonized. It's literally in our prayer book, that her Debbie Friedman, her Mi Sheberach. But I just think this shows the power of her voice, the power of her spirit, that I think still inspires us today. So Mi Sheberach, the middle of page 371.
Mi sheberach avotenu makor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
We are thinking of this moment and wishing a complete refuah shlema, complete healing of body, mind, and spirit. We're thinking of Pat Adamson, Aidan John Ashley, Raymond Douglas Alcorn, Marty Bilo, Evan Bin, Frankie Clement, Ann Cole, Mark Edelstein, Mickey Edelstein, Benjamin Edelstein, and Brian Edelstein, Danielle Heyman Feist, Eric Fisk, Z Fisk, Philip Gelman, Bob Gold and Carolyn Gold, Jennifer Gousset, Barbara Green and Buddy Green, Marvin Hollander, Stuart J., Robert Jaffe, Lori Cattleman, Doris Kirshner, Wendy Sugarman Krosnoff, Hank Corin, Dr. Sonia Linke, Michael Lynch, Dolores Munsick, Ruth Poehler, Lee Siegel and Stacy Siegel, Dr. Cindy Steinman, Pete Tanner, Fred Truax, Norman Gross, and Elsa Mikosh. If we are thinking of someone this evening for this prayer of healing, please speak their name as my eyes meet yours. Taking all these names into our hearts, along with those mentioned at home, we continue as we pray.
Mishebeirach imotenu makor habracha liavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We continue with a moment of silent prayer and reflection.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable unto thee, O Lord, my rock and my Redeemer.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Everyone have their daf, their page of study text for tonight. Can't help you. It's dead. It's fine. It's fine. So, as we sort of mentioned in the beginning of the service, I've been out for the past couple of weeks. We did a family road trip up to see my folks and then Elizabeth's folks. So we went from here, Savannah to Raleigh to D.C. to New York, and then all the way back. And so it was a wonderful 2 weeks of vacation, from which now I feel like I need another week of vacation. But it was a lovely time. It was the first time for my kids, I believe, to be in Washington, D.C. And while we didn't stay long, we did get a chance to see a couple of the monuments, Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial. We didn't get to visit the MLK Memorial, and I thought it was fitting, since this weekend is Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, that we sort of take a little look at his texts and sort of see its connection to Torah. And I think, as many of you know, I'm headed to D.C. again tomorrow because our teens are there, our 8th to 12th graders. We have a nice group of our youth group teens in D.C. with our educator. And they went to the Hill today, and they went to the Israeli Embassy today, and they're having a really good experience. And I'm going to meet them there tomorrow to continue sort of having them learn about Judaism and its connection to American life, and vice versa. So with that said, I thought as we honor Debbie Friedman, of course, that we should also take a moment to think about the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and sort of study a little bit about his teachings and how they relate perhaps to Judaism. I was in a group earlier this week of my interfaith clergy brethren, and we were sort of studying MLK together. And one of the points that they spoke about very passionately was that we think of Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. King, as a civil rights activist, obviously, as an advocate for change, but we don't always remember his foundation was religion, faith. He was a reverend. So a lot of what inspired him to go out there and try to change society, change the world, is a motivation based in faith, which I think is really powerful. And so obviously his teachings have a direct connection to Scripture. So with that said, we're going to take a little look at just a couple of quotes and maybe some Hebrew texts, some Jewish texts that connect them. So we see quote number 1 from March 31st, 1968. "We shall overcome, because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." And Zechariah says, "These are the things that you are to do. Speak truth to one another. Render truth, justice, and peace in your gates." First thing I wanted to ask, what does this mean, the arc of the moral universe? Does anyone have a sense of what that phrase means, what Dr. King is trying to say using that expression? Evolution, very nice. Could you use that mic, the headset mic, to get people, have them talk into it since his mic's dead? Thank you. That way it's easier for people to hear, perhaps. So evolution we got, as an option. Anyone else have an answer? So Karen, I think, has a answer back there.
Well, I think they can hear me.
They can't hear you at home.
They can't hear me at home? Oh,
Yeah.
I think they can. I don't think this is working all that well, Beth. Anyway, it's the pendulum that swings back and forth, to the right, to the left, and that's what it's been doing.
The pendulum swinging, a little bit, but in the end, where is it supposed to swing? Finally, where's it supposed to end up? In the middle? No. Towards justice eventually, right? Sorry. Can you run over there to Susan? Yes, we're going to have some exercise today.
Like in the war in Ukraine, Ukraine is fighting for a cause, for a purpose, and they have, that drive, that motive is what gives them their strength beyond the power of the opposite side. So I think, in a way, this is saying that when you're striving for justice, that is just creates so much motivation and power that it may be stronger in the long run than the other forces.
It's interesting, yeah, David?
I would say that it's certainly an optimistic statement, because it says that ultimately we're going to get justice. We're heading that direction. Whether that's accurate or not is another question. But I happen to note from the date, I think Martin Luther King was killed the next week.
Mm.
I think it was like 4 or 5 or 6 days later.
Wow. I mean, when I see this, I do eventually think I'll go to Heather in a second. That what he's trying to say is that in the end, it'll work out, right? In the end, we will have justice, even if we go through periods of disharmony and disunity. Yeah, go ahead, Heather.
Well, looking at the words arc of the universe, an arc in science, it's a curve, an arc of going up or lower.
Yeah.
It's an arc of morals, learning, throughout all of the community. Equivalent to the universe.
Equivalent to the universe, right? That's very nice. Our quote from Zechariah: "These are the things you shall do: speak truth to one another, render truth, justice, and peace in your gates." How do we think that connects to the MLK quote? Does it connect to the MLK quote? Go ahead, right here.
Brings you to justice.
Speaking truth brings you to justice. Very nicely said, right? That there's a connection between truth, justice, and the American way. No, that's Superman. Another good quote. Truth, justice, and peace, right? That there's a connection between those three things. And that eventually, like if we're having good conversation with each other, let's say, if we're having open and honest dialogue with each other, that can help bring us to a space of justice and peace. I think that's very, very wise. Let's take a look at the second quote here. "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." And then we're going to link that quote from Dr. King to Leviticus. "You shall not hate your brother in your heart. Rebuke your kinsman, but incur no guilt because of him. You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against your kinsman. Love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Eternal." And so here we see a connection between the MLK text and the Leviticus with the idea of love, right? Love is all you need. That's someone else. Who's that? Yeah, that wasn't the Bible. That was something else. Okay. The Beatles, I'm hearing. It's the Beatles. They're good too. Okay. So how can love solve problems? How do we think love can solve problems in our world? And if you raise your hand, Beth can... Hold on. Good.
I never knew a hug not to heal anything.
Very nice. A hug is healing. Very nice. Anyone else have an idea about love? Yeah, Dave. Here, Beth. David's got an idea over here. Yeah.
Yeah, you show you care about other people, any form of love. Like if someone's upset, like what the other person said, like giving them a hug, or going over to them, talking to them, showing sympathy of any form. That would show you how much you care. Show some sort of form of caring for someone.
Very nice. Caring, sympathy, empathy, all these values that we find in our scriptures as well. That's really wonderful. And that, we see, especially in Psalms and Proverbs, some of our wisdom literature, speaking about the idea that, when somebody is angry and you respond to them with more anger, what happens? It just winds up escalating and escalating. It doesn't really heal anything. When you respond with listening, when you respond with kindness and care and compassion, it can turn away, some of that anger and transform it. And that's really hard to do, especially when there are people who are very passionate, a lot of voices, a lot of very strong opinions, and people fighting really hard for what they believe in, which is fine. That's part of any kind of discourse. But how do we relate to each other afterwards? Can we get to a place of understanding and love, even if there is disagreement? I think that's an important point here. We can flip over to the next page. Oh, sorry, I'm flipping over. I think you guys have one more on your page. Quote 3, the letter from the Birmingham jail. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. That was, of course, Dr. King's quote. And we have one from the prophet Amos. Not Amos. I never love Amos. That's like the cookie guy is Amos. Like famous Amos. Amos in the Hebrew. I'm going to fight on that hill. Amos. Listen to this, you who devour the needy, annihilating the poor of the land, saying, we will buy the poor for silver, the needy for a pair of sandals. The Eternal swears by the pride of Jacob, I will never forget any of their doings. Shall not the earth shake for this, and all that dwell on it mourn? So that's the prophet Amos. And so let's first start with Dr. King. What does Dr. King mean by whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly? What does he mean by that? I think Denise Scott has a, yeah.
That we're all responsible for each other.
Mm-hmm. That we're all responsible for each other. Very nice. That network of mutuality.
It takes a village.
Takes a village. Very nice. Takes a village. So it reminds me of Heschel, who, of course, was very close with Dr. King, that he says that in a society, few are guilty, but all are responsible. That was Heschel's sort of take on that idea. Very nice. Okay, and so I think we have a sense of the relationship here, right? Is that in the quote from Amos is an early prophet. The Israelites weren't acting really well. There was a lot of corruption at that time, a lot of ethical problems, ethical dilemmas, and people were just sort of watching, letting it happen. And then the prophet says the earth is going to shake about this. So what does he mean, aside from the poetic language? The earth is going to shake for this. What does that mean, you think? Yeah, Tony's got it over there.
Heard around the world.
Mm-hmm, very nice. Yeah, the response. It's like a talk show. She's gonna go around. But yes, that's really good. The world will reverberate. Will shake. Sort of for this. It's gonna impact. It's gonna be felt. By this, unless someone fixes it, right? Unless someone helps. Yeah, Susan.
Sorry, I'm like Vanna with the letters. You have to wait
till
I get over here.
She wished she wore flats today.
We have a living example, because when let's say one corporation pollutes the waters, like Ocean Spray pours their acid into the river, and then it affects the climate, it affects everybody, not just Ocean Spray or the person who did it. So we all experience the consequences.
We can all experience things, even if we don't think it affects us, like it might affect us, later, right? It might not affect us immediately, but there might be some, again, consequences down the road. Okay, our last quote from his Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech. I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits. And now from Micah, they shall beat their swords into plowshares, their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not take up sword against nation, and they shall never again know war. And every person shall sit under his vine or fig tree with no one to disturb him. So what do we think about Dr. King's idea here of bodies, minds, and spirits? Why all 3? Why not just one of them or 2 of them? But he mentions all 3, body, minds, and spirits.
Like the Vahafta.
Like the Via Hafta, by the way, it's exactly what I thought too. Like the Via Hafta.
Martin Luther King wanted people not to be racist against each other.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted people not to have wars, to treat each other fairly. Have peace among each other, with everybody. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Any other reflections on body, mind, and spirit? We have over here, Ira.
These are what we consider the inalienable rights, which were later echoed in FDR's four freedoms that everyone should enjoy.
Very nice. I think about the idea that people can be very content in body, right? They can have a lot of food, comforts, all that good stuff, but they might spiritually, mentally maybe not be doing so well. It's good to have all three. That's the goal, right? That we talk about, that healing of body, mind, and spirit. And I mentioned with Misha Berach, that idea that it's a complete healing, that we want people to be able to experience comfort, success, however we're going to define it, for those three aspects of their lives, body, mind, and spirit. What does everyone sitting under a vine and fig tree mean to you? What does that look like in real life? Tony's got it over there.
Peace and serenity.
Peace and serenity. Very nice. Peace and serenity everywhere, right? Lovely. I feel like I should play Rocky's music for you,
Keep it going. Yeah, well, it's a certain security. You're secure underneath that fig tree, or you get shade, and there's a certain security. I wanted also, with regard to the earlier part, the body, mind, and spirit. I mean, there's a synergism. If you have all three, they work together, and the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
It's very nice.
To coin
Thank
a
you.
phrase.
That's really good.
Everyone under their fig tree, everyone gets a portion.
Everyone gets a portion. That's nice. Everyone gets a portion. Yeah, so it was a couple more thoughts. Yalla, yalla.
This is good.
Yeah.
The fig tree provides food for the humanity, for the soul, for the body.
Yeah. That fig tree, I think it's a very intentional sort of thought, because it was something that is very sustaining, the fig tree. That's really good. Any final sort of thoughts? I appreciate everyone taking part in this experience, getting a chance to study a little bit of Dr. King and the Torah, and hopefully that vision does come true. That vision, as that David mentioned, and as mentioned with others, that our world slowly, perhaps, maybe a little faster, maybe, can get to a place of peace, love, of justice, and that we're all able to sit under that vine and fig tree with none to make us afraid. Together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Let's turn now to page 586 as we rise together for Aleinu.
And here comes Debbie again in a call and response that I remember. I did not go to Camp Coleman. I'm a Northerner, but we sang this at our camps. Let us adore. You have to repeat it. Let us adore the ever-living God and render praise unto Him who spread out the heavens and established the earth, and whose glory is revealed in the heavens above, and whose greatness, we say this together, but you don't know it, is manifest throughout the world. He is our God. There is none else. We go into Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamachim hakadosh baruch hu. Ba 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 ba. Bayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad. Bayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad. U'shemo echad. U'shemo echad. U'shemo echad. echad, u'shemo echad, u'shemo echad. Ba 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 ba.
We can take our seats. We're on page 594. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream to be and oh to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. We are in the Shiva period for the memory of Richard Corwin, our member, husband of Lois, father of Rick, Adam, Donna, and Jill, and the grandfather of 6. So we send our condolences to Lois on this loss and to her family. We also think of those who died during this last year. Phyllis Krause, Sheila Buckwalter, Bob Mansfeld, Albert Gart, Barry Debowski, Anne Blumenkrantz, Shirley Matler, Richard Clausen, Mary John Resch, Liesel Schick, Linda Laban Slavinsky, Jay Roth, Fran Brickman, John Conway, Michael Vereb, Janice Lederer, Bernice Lipman, Eric Adler, Ezra Bobo. We also think of those who died of this season in years past. Our yurtzites for this week: Rose Banks, Elihu Berman, Augusta Gussie Bernstein, Harry Berenbaum, Charles Karp, Hilda Leah Einhorn, Esther Ellis, Jacob Foreman, David F. Garin, Ray D. Ginsburg, Martin Ginsburg, Pearl Goldberg Stein, Phyllis Graz Kraus, Louis Hack, Cynthia S. Katz, Beverly Kent, Philip Kirby, Charles Klein, Isidore Crone, Selma Crone, Raymond Latham, Rose Lefkowitz, Anne Levin, Hyman Levine, Francis Mack Levitt, Ruth Lisser, Betty Moshbitz, Barry Stewart Meltzer, Celia K. Moore, Madi Negan, Esther Noodleman, Lucy Race, Yosef Levi Riera, Sareen Babe Roth, Edith Rubin, Rhea W. Savitt, Louis Schnur, Molly Schwartz, Kate G. Schumann, Irvin L. Smith, Adele Spiegelman, and Yetta Human. Is anyone else observing a yurtzeit saying Kaddish for any reason? Let's rise together on page 598, Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah, B'alma divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, B'gala v'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam lo'mei olmaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushvechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'ama v'imru amen. Yehe shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. O se shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to Israel, and all of the world. As together we say, Amen. Please be seated. It's now my pleasure to invite one of our co-presidents to come forward, Sandy Sunter, for a few synagogue announcements.
We're back to almost a plethora. No, not a plethora, but getting closer. A little cornucopia-ish. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Everybody who's here in our sanctuary. Lots of familiar faces, but some new faces. So please come again, and welcome to Temple B'nai Israel, and welcome to everybody at home. Thank you, Rabbi, for your words tonight, and to remember Martin Luther King. And Beth, thank you for your working on all that music of Debbie Friedman. We all love her music, and thank you for bringing that to us. Thank you, Maria, for bringing us. And thank you. Is it Pete streaming tonight? I don't know, but thank you. Really glad to see everybody. We have lots of things that are going on. So I'm just going to kind of go through a few things. Just to remind you that Rabbi still has his Bible class on Tuesday evenings at 7:30. He has his introduction to Judaism at 6, but at 7:30 is this Bible study, and it's either in person or Zoomed. If you haven't been there, try it one evening. It's really very fun, and he really teaches the Bible very humorously, I would say. Because it's pretty, especially Leviticus. Oh my. Also, he started this week on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock, Jewish Magic and Superstition. Again, in person or by Zoom. This was his first class. How many are there going to be? 4, 6? 6 classes. Very interesting. And I come from an extremely superstitious family, so my sister and I are probably going to learn some new things that we can get nervous about. Yeah, Friday the 13th. I don't know where. I'm not sure about that one. But today is Friday the 13th. Oh, my goodness. Okay. For our Shabbat on Friday the 20th, January the 20th, we're having a potluck Shabbat dinner, non-dairy dishes only. So we hope that people will come and bring their non-dairy dish. This is hosted by our Temple B'nai Israel membership committee. We hope people will come. We'll have dinner at 5:30 and have services at 7. And for anybody who'd like to RSVP, Andrea Feldman is here in person, so that you can RSVP to her. Also, for the ladies, we are having our next WTBI dinner at the Zamhi Chinese restaurant on Park Boulevard. That's going to be on Wednesday, January the 25th at 6 o'clock. And again, if you think you'd like to attend, please call Andrea Feldman. We've had some lovely evenings. We encourage you to come. I think the last time we met, there were about 30 of us. So if you like Chinese food and want to meet some of your fellow congregants, please come. Also, we are having our next Jewish Food Festival, February the 26th, which means that you can get online and do your orders for our food festival. The orders will go through January the 29th, and we have a process that you come here and pick them up on the day of the event. And we have some of the usuals, the corned beef, the pastrami, the cheesecake, black and whites, and we'll be having knishes and noodle kugel. Thank you to the kugelettes. Matzo ball soup, stuffed cabbage. Thank you to the cabbage makers, and lots of other things. It is fun. It is, for Temple B'nai Israel, it is a major fundraiser, so please get your orders, tell your neighbors about it, and come and enjoy. I think that's all that I wanted to say about events. Do we have anything else, Rabbi, that you'd like to say? Okay, he'll think about it. This evening was about music, so I always like to say a few words, and I wanted to find something about music today. So I found this. Judaism is a religion of words, and yet, whenever the language of Judaism aspires to the spiritual, it modulates into song, as if the words themselves seek escape from the gravitational pull of finite meanings. Music speaks to something deeper than the mind. If my hands wouldn't shake. Deeper than the mind. If we are to make Torah new in every generation, we have to find ways of singing its song a new way. The words never change, but the music does. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
I did want to mention something. The first Friday in February is going to be another one of our J Learning Shabbat services, and that's happening here. So I think it's 4th, 5th, and 6th grade are going to, 4th and 5th grade, I think, are helping to lead the service. So it's going to be a really interesting night. We've had some really great energy when the kids lead the service. I just wanted to mention that because it's another example of how our religious school program and the collaboration is growing. That we have a lot of kids in the school, and again, this weekend it's our first trip in years, because of COVID, and we have great, participation from our high school students. So it's really exciting. So I wanted to put that little plug in, that some of these great youth activities are coming back and are being really well attended. And I wanted to also thank Maria and Beth for holding down the fort the past couple of weeks and doing such a nice job this evening. With all of that said, let us rise together.
Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
Let's conclude with Motzi. Ari, Kai, you want to get up here? Get your brothers. Not my brothers.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as this joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Shabbat Shalom! Shabbat Shalom! B'tei like a good appetite.
I'm the queen of B'tei Avon.
do, but he understands everything behind